In these days of being allowed to identify as whatever you want, no matter how you was born, our cars now identify as different things. My MRS now identifies as a Skoda, and obviously Thomas's 19 TDI MR2 identifies as a 19 TDI. They've both got the right engines. This is a 180 AUM or whatever. That's exactly the same as in a Skoda Octavia VRS. So yeah, while these were both born as Toyotas, they're now identifying by the engine they've got on them now. So that's a Volkswagen diesel, mine's a Skoda. I guess if blokes can get their balls cut off and then identify as women and compete in MMA and weightlifting and shit in the women's class, then we can join some Volkswagen race series in these. In reality, I just done it to take the piss, and same as Thomas. Thomas mostly daily drives this, and it seems that creates more like people trying to race him than anything else. And obviously they get extra pissed off because, you know, who's going to lose to a 19 TDI? Most people, it turns out. So yeah, there you go. In other less piss-taking news, I popped down, well, popped is over 100 miles, down to see a guy on, well, yesterday, and basically messaged me on Facebook and said, do I want a non-knackered soft top, because that thing is fucked. And he's like, I know you'd like a hard top, but winter's come in, so, and I've got one that's, you know, perfectly, really good condition, no, you know, and you can have it for nothing if you want, because I've got a hard top now and I just want it out the way, and I'd rather help than just sit on it. So I was like, hell yeah. And I had the gearbox off that, so I said, don't suppose you want that, dear? You know, because I don't like just taking stuff off people. So I was like, do you want to trade? So he's like, yeah, I'd love that gearbox. So I brought him the 1ZZ gearbox out of that, because it's an import one, and going by the VIN tag, it's the import one, and it's got the optional diff that they didn't all have at the time. So it's got a limited slip diff and the closer ratios than the UK ones, so it's better. So yeah, he gave me this soft top and also his original wheels, which are far better condition than mine. They're exactly the same, apart from different center caps and not absolutely knackered. So I'm going to swap center caps over and run these. I'm kind of just doing bits and pieces, just getting on with this. And one of the sort of conundrums was going to be this flange. Not so much the flange itself, but making something fit it. You can buy flanges like this, but as Thomas rightly pointed out, because of the shape and where the bolt holes is, even if you've got the flange, it's a fucker to actually make something that fits to it. So didn't want to buy one of them, and we know of another that's being designed, which is the correct fitment, but will allow, like, you know, a 3-inch or whatever pipe to be fitted to it a lot easier. Trouble is, that's not ready yet. So, and I want to get this car done like yesterday. So I was thinking, what the fuck am I going to do? And then I thought, hang on a minute, I don't even need a flange. This turbine housing is an 8.5 basically. It's the biggest one. It's never going to be the restriction, even when I go, say if I make a hybrid, because you can go hybrid of these, and with like a fancy 9-blade turbine wheel and a bigger compressor and all that, to make it even bigger. But even then, this is 8.5 housing. It's as big as you can get for these, as far as I know, and I certainly won't want to go any bigger. So I'm never going to use a different housing. So why don't I just weld directly to it, which a lot of people do. I mean, I've done it loads of times in the past, got Thomas to weld a V-band or whatever on the back of a turbo. So why don't I weld something to it? So yeah, I'm not going to bother with a flange for this because it doesn't matter. It won't help me. The second question was, how the fuck am I going to make a flange? Well, you know, a pipe that joins to that. Basically, that's 4 inch and that's about 2 inch, but it's a bit of a funny shape. And the obvious thing I was thinking was just hammer and squash and whatever a 4 inch bit of pipe until it's formed correctly. And yeah, that's possible, but it's also, and I tried it, a pain in the ass and not neat in it. And obviously when you squash one end, unless you've got it welded to something solid at the other, it'll try and squash the whole lot to some extent and whatever. And then I thought, you know what, I know what's a bit like it, and I've probably got one, and that is an aftermarket Subaru outlet flange. The standard Subaru outlet, you know, from the factory, dog shit. Similar shape and size, a little bit bigger I think, but it's like a pipe from the turbine wheel, and this bit just flat. It's a bit rubbish, and they get significant gains performance wise from a big one. And what they call it, they call it bell mouth, they call it all sorts, but it's basically full width and goes down into, you know, the 3 inch downpipe or whatever it is. And I thought, hang on, I've probably got one of them. I think I've got 2 in fact. So I went and grabbed one and cut the flange off, and yeah, it's pretty bang on. The one I've got is quite good. So where I've cut it off, it's 3.5 inch as well. So, you know, it doesn't neck down to 3 inch very fast, which is good because I want it to be 4. It's this basically. So that is a very, very good match when lined up correctly with that. So fucking brilliant. And then this reducer, which was a 4 to 3 inch or 3 to 4 inch, whatever you want to call it, but I've cut it down so it now matches basically 3.5 to 4. So the outlet roughly like that, and then I don't know, weld a V-band, 4 inch V-band to that is fucking perfect. So yeah, that is how it's going to work. The rest of the system we can just work out from there. I've got a 4 inch flexi pipe now, so because Thomas said we really should run a flexi. I really don't want to, but he said it like it would be a good idea to stop any exhaust cracking problems. Trouble is, it's a bit big and it's fucking heavy too, like heavy. But hey, if I need it, I need it. In other news, let's go around the front. I have a charge cooler radiator, pretty big one too. It's like 2 inches thick, 19mm inlet and outlets, twin pass, so in at the top, out the bottom, all the other way around. I checked and it is actually completely divided, because you'll find a lot of these, well not a lot, but some of these fucking Chinese ones, they're not even divided. So you wonder why it's not working very well, and then you realise there's no divider. So yeah, this one is. I even got a cable tie and poked it in there to make sure. Fits really well. I had to add a little spacer there for that bar, but generally it's fine. Obviously I need to secure it. At the moment it's, you know, it's got a bit of movement, so I'll make some brackets, I guess, to the bottom of here, something like that. But yeah, fits really well. I chose the inlet and outlet this side purely because the gaps are a bit bigger. This, it's not far off, there's very little in it, but I think this side's probably easier. I might be wrong, so I might just turn it around. It takes me 2 seconds, that's why I've not made any brackets yet, but at first glance should be, yeah, be fine. And that's nice and big, because that's the problem with a lot of charge coolers. There's not enough cooling for them, as in the water. The water itself does a good job of cooling the air, but it soon heat soaks because there's not enough fucking cooling for their water itself. Because the charge air heats up the water, but then the water has to be cooled down by the outside air. So you need a fairly big one for it to work. Well, work well for continued amounts of time. And yeah, this is pretty big. Quite heavy though, because it's bar and plate rather than tube and fin, so it's pretty bulky. But whatever, if it works, it works. I never thought I'd see the day, but there's something that's not here now, and that is the forged 3S GTE and built MR2 turbo gearbox with a CAS diff that was going in the Corolla. But they've just been picked up by the new owner and off to a new home, also in a Corolla. A mental Corolla track car is being built. So yeah, it's a good home, but still, new home. So I need to get the broken 3S and everything out of that as well, and then, wow, give it its new power plant. I know I should be just concentrating on the engine to get stuff done, but something's been bugging me on this car forever, so I just did it. It was a bit like, oh fucking hell, this could either go well or I fucked it, but I'm glad to say it's gone well. Basically, these cars, like a lot of light cars, MX-5s are similar. They, at speed, they don't feel very stable, and the reason is they've got a lot of front end lift, and it's not because of like bad aero or anything. It's purely like not a whole lot of weight and a lot of air getting in under the bonnet and not being able to come back out again. On my previous MX-5s, I fixed that by adding a vent so the air can come out. That's like all race cars are. I mean, even the mid-engine production cars, Lotus Exiges and Lotus Elises, they're a similar size and shape car, but they've got a big vented bonnet purely for that reason. It just helps keep the front from lifting. And yeah, it's an issue on these. And there is, like, I've seen a few different vented bonnets for these, and to be fair, they do look good, but they also cost money, and I'm poor, and B, I don't like spending money. Not when I don't have to. I like spending money on stuff that I have to, but when I think I can do something myself, I will. So I was thinking about all the various military surplus aeroplane bits and stuff I've got kicking around, and I thought, you know what what'll be good? I've got some more Tornado F3 fighter plane parts, and two of them are these big like stainless steel knacker ducts, and I thought that'd work. And my first thought was like put them like one there and one there, but then you look under the bonnet and that's where the power steering pump and all that is, so it's like that's a bit of shit, pain in the ass. So I had another think, and wow, I'll show you. I must admit, I really like that. It's functional, but it also looks badass. One big duct in the middle, functional as anything, as it's the air coming out of there. Because obviously some of the air from goes in the front goes elsewhere. You know, it comes out and from underneath the car, or, you know, various gaps. But these, like a lot of fairly light fronted cars without a vented bonnet, it's the pushing up on the bonnet. The air pressure pushes up on the bonnet, which in turn lifts the car. It's not like an aerodynamic thing where, you know, that it is creating lift and trying to fly in another way. It's purely the air pressure under the bonnet pushing the bonnet up. I realised that years ago on MX-5 by literally watching the one that had bonnet pins and a fairly sort of flexible, lightweight bonnet. And I could literally, it was only, you know, I always wondered why it felt a bit unstable at real high speed. And then when you watch carefully, you could watch the bonnet flex upwards, like trying to lift up. And it's like, I see. So I cut some holes, literally a few rudimentary holes in sort of the front line of the bonnet. And suddenly the bonnet stayed down and the car felt completely stable. So it's not like a theoretical thing. I don't really give a shit about theory. It's just how it is. It's fact. I've tested it and proven it, and it works. So I wanted to do it to this, and I've seen one of these with like an Elise bonnet vent in it, like, you know, custom made into it, and it does look good. But even second hand, they're like 200 quid, and they're massive as well. So it's quite a lot of work, because obviously you've got the swage lines either side. So it's not like you can't, you know, it's just not a flat bonnet to plonk it on. So, you know, it's like I don't want to spend money and then I have to do a lot of work to make it look right. Whereas this, I could place it on a flat area. It's an area that underneath there's nothing there, so I don't have to worry about rain. And it also will do a great job of letting the air out. Because up, when you go nearer the windscreen, it's a high pressure area on cars. But on this, basically the more sloped back the screen is generally, you know, from the back of the bonnet back, the further the high pressure area is. If it went bonnet, then that place is really high pressure. But this has got a very laid back screen. So the highest pressure area is probably, well, the high pressure area full stop is probably sort of lowish of the screen and up. It's not like at the back of the bonnet like it is on some cars. And this is, you know, I think it's 2 inches from the back part, well no, 4 inches from the back part of the vent to the back of the bonnet, then another couple of inches at least until the start of the screen. So that is in a correct sort of place. I could have put it a bit further forward. The reason I didn't is because from that point onwards the bonnet starts curving down, and that would have made it a fucker to fit. So yeah, job done. Obviously it's just placed in place at the moment, but that was fucking scary because I literally, like, I had no way of mocking it up apart from I sat it there upside down and so on, and that means nothing because then you've got this massive duct, because obviously that's 10 inches tall or so, you know, because it goes right down. So I didn't really know if it'd look good or terrible or what, so I had to sort of use my imagination and take a risk. And then I got the angle grinder out and yeah, cut a hole and placed it in, and it turns out it looks fucking cool. So yeah, it's like stainless steel, I think. It's not aluminium, and I don't think it's Inconel this time. It might be, I don't know. It don't feel light enough to be Inconel, so I think it's stainless steel. How do you even tell? I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it's titanium, I don't know. Nah, it's not light enough for titanium. I reckon it's just stainless steel. I don't know exactly because I can't remember what use this had on a Tornado, but it's obviously air ducting. But yeah, that's pretty cool if I do say so myself. I mean, the fact is, I think it's cool is all that matters. I don't give a shit about anyone else, really. It's like, I don't plan to take it to fucking shows and win stuff. I don't care if I'm the only person on the planet that liked it. I like it, so. And the main thing is it's functional. As long as it don't look ugly, like real ugly, then I don't give a shit if it's functional. But that actually looks cool, looks mean. So, job done. Another little job was just chopped these off each end of the manifold flange. I think what it must be, because I have noticed there is ones like it available, I reckon the casting is the same for T2 and T3 flange versions, because I saw T3 flange versions of these. So I reckon the casting's the same, and they just drill the bolt holes further out, and that's it basically. So these bits aren't needed for T2 flange, and the problem is when the bolt holes are where they are with this overhang, it's quite awkward to get to them. It's not fucking impossible, but it's a lot nicer when there's less fucking metal there. So I chopped them off, and now it's a lot easier to get to stuff. Because the flange was so big like that, it was getting close, like real close to the compressor housing. And obviously the more room you've got as well, it's easier to get to the actual mounting holes and all that shit. So yeah, it had to go, and now it's sorted. Well, that's the turbo outlet sorted. Obviously only tacked in place at the moment, but you're never going to make a better one than that. Literally perfect. I mean, look at the flow. That's literally the perfect turbine flow. Can't beat that. So yeah, 4-inch V-band on the end of that, and then beyond there I just got to make things fit. That's all I can do, because literally, like, you can't have a better outlet than that. And any sacrifices I might have to make with the rest of it is so be it, but that needed to be done because that's just the best solution. Well, that's bloody good news. Thanks to the design of the V-band, it was just big enough to sit on the outside of the cone section, which makes for a brilliant sort of snug fit, so it doesn't stick out any more than the cone did, yet the V-band's on it. It's a male and female V-band, so that's the male end, and the female end sticks into it. You can see the lip, so that's there, so it's got a good positive engagement. So yeah, fucking really happy with that. That was pure luck, because I kind of thought it's not gonna do that, it's gonna sit on the end of the cone section. So, but instead I've saved, I know it's not a lot, but I've saved probably over 1 centimetre, which is the thickness of the one side of the V-band, which any extra room is a good thing. Cable ties and masking tape. That is the way. You got a mock-up exhaust. Literally, I've got the cable ties hanging, everything where roughly I'd like it to be. And obviously masking tape is bloody good for holding bits of exhaust together. It's surprisingly strong. So yeah, this is roughly where I am now. That bend looks tight, but it's actually doable, it turns out, with the bends I've got. I'm going to put the bumper back on to work out how much room I've got for the tailpipe and so on. Looking promising so far. I still really would rather run that bullet silencer rather than that flex pipe, but Thomas really recommends the flex pipe, and I don't think that bullet silencer would do much anyway, so probably run this flex pipe. Doing this one-handed so I can hold that in place, but turns out it's in a pretty bloody good position. So yeah, the back box can stay there. That's a pretty perfect sort of distance for everything. Could possibly trim that down to be slightly shorter. It doesn't have to, you know, it could be right up to there if need be on the seam. There's no need for this bit really, it's just to neck it back down to 4. So yeah, pretty fucking good. Now I just got to work out the bend there, the 180. But to be honest, it looks like it's not going to be that tricky. So let's take the bumper back off and I'll have a look. And there you go. The only gap is there at the moment, but that's literally fucking nothing. So proof of concept at least. That'll work. 4-inch turbo back, one silencer, one big flexi, one race cat tailpipe. Probably will be loud. I probably don't give a shit. I don't think it'll be that loud. Well, it might be. Fuck knows. I reckon it sound good though. This is where we are now. This is all tack welded up now. So that's the bit that was the most difficult, and it turned out quite easy. So yeah, we're officially getting there. Literally that last bit to do, and then job done. I don't know whether to add a V-band to the final bit to allow me to adjust the angle of the tailpipe, or not even bother. Not sure. Probably not even bother. And there we go. All tacked up, turbo to tailpipe. I like it. I don't know if you can tell, I'm sure you can actually. The tailpipe is pointing up a little bit, which I like. I didn't want it going straight out. It's going up slightly, which is, I don't know, I just fancied it pointing up a bit. And it's only slightly proud of the back bumper, which is what I wanted. I'm gonna have to put some serious heat shielding on that to stop the back bumper melting, but you know, no big deal. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, let me take the back bumper off and you'll see what it looks like without the back bumper. Aside from the hangers, because I don't think these cable ties would handle the heat somehow, that is the exhaust mocked up. I mean, it's only spot welded at the moment. I'll speak to Thomas, see if, well, originally he was like, well, you get it how you want it, and I'll TIG it up after. And then he was like, hang on, I need to teach you to TIG, so maybe I'll teach you by you doing this. But whatever, it's pretty much done. It's hung in place, it's steady, it's fucking, it looks badass. I can imagine that being bloody loud, but hey, tough shit now. It's gonna flow, that's for sure. I mean, all of this is gonna be, it's difficult to heat wrap flexes, but generally I'm gonna heat wrap as much as I can. Don't think I'll be able to heat wrap the flexi, because obviously it flexes, and once heat wrap gets hot, it just fucking crumbles, it gets brittle, so there's not much use on stuff that moves. But yeah, badass. I like it a lot. Pretty pleased with that. Happy it all came together, because yeah, it's not the easiest thing to make a 4-inch exhaust on a little car like this for an engine it shouldn't be in it, and a turbo setup it shouldn't normally be on that engine, and so on. It's as custom as you can fucking get. But hey, it's done now. Now it just needs all welding up properly, because obviously I've just been spot welding it either in situ, which is how I did the last few bits, or was doing it over there, and you know, backwards and forwards. But the last couple of bits you couldn't realistically do that to be precise enough, so I literally brought the welder over here, rolled it over, and gave it a few buzzes to get everything in the right place, and it is, and I'm very happy with that. So yeah, and in all honesty, I think that's the end for this video. So hope you liked it, and obviously stay tuned, because as you can see, things are moving very rapidly. I've got the ECU now, it's over there. Volkswagen, hang on, what they call it again? Anyone that knows Volkswagens will know this anyway. Bosch ME 7.5. So basically that ECU is bloody good, you know, fully mappable, fully capable of very big power, you know, and it has launch control, it can do whatever you fucking like. Very good. This one's got the immobilizer off already, which is handy. Yeah, that's arrived. I went for a couple other bits and pieces, nothing much. And yeah, now that's on, I reckon the next job is to finalise the charge cooler position and boost pipes, and then take the engine back out, then, you know, clean up everything in the bay and get the engine prepared, and then it goes in one last time and fucking it runs. So yeah, won't be long. Right, cheers then, and I will see you next time. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, show your friends, tell them to get involved, you know, all that good stuff. See you later.